All right, cool. You know what I didn't talk to you about last time?
Oh, what's
We
that?
mentioned it a little bit because we had to introduce ourselves and stuff.
Right.
But watch your chain on that mic.
All right, you're right.
Yeah.
Cool.
See, that's technical stuff right there.
All right, I got you.
We didn't talk about what you actually do at work. Like
Well-
you said, you were a machinist and you CNC'd and stuff, but what do you build?
Well, I work for a company. I don't want to disclose any names right now.
Sure.
But we are in-house company.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And we build assembly line. Like, so you know, when you get we're a bottle labeling company.
Oh, okay.
So like, you know, like
Look at that.
Modelo. So, and we actually have like a lot of people, we work for the Marleys. You know, we do like canisters, we do tequila bottles, we do mustard bottles, we do all kind of bottles. So we make the machines,
Oh,
the assembly
gotcha.
machines, but we make it all in-house. So
Okay.
my job as a machinist is to produce good parts to the schematics of the blueprint. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I have a setup guy. He comes in, he puts this math in a little bit, and I'm more of the detailed QA quality assurance as the machine's running, make sure the machine's running properly, reading the codes, make
Gotcha.
sure if I see any kind of deflection on the tolerance of the part, then me and him figure it out and we
Being
go back.
being the detail guy, I mean, you gotta have like, you gotta know. Oh, by the way, rookie mistake last time. We didn't
What's
start a
that?
timer, so I'm
Okay.
gonna start a timer for 1 hour right here.
All right.
Yeah, so at least we know when either we stop or it stops us, one or the other.
But
Give me that thing.
There you go.
Thanks. Cool. Well, the only reason I ask is because I didn't ask last time, and
Okay.
it didn't make any sense that I didn't ask last time.
Well, it just that's really what's the basis of it. You know, so we have like two sides. So I make the parts that they build the machine with. You know what I'm saying? So it could be like a roller or spindle. You know, anything that keeps the machine, like nuts, bolts, just any kind of intricate part that goes to their design. And you have a whole nother set of engineers over there that they're putting the whole thing together with schematics, all kind of different things. It's interesting.
Did you go to school for it?
I did go to school for it. I've been in school for like 2 years for it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Here in
I went
Charleston.
to- yeah, right here, tech school.
Okay.
Just
You ever heard of Mike Rowe?
No.
Dirty Jobs guy.
no.
So he did a show called Dirty Jobs.
I heard that show
Okay,
before.
so the host of that show is called Mike Rowe. He's got a podcast too.
Okay.
His isn't quite as interesting as ours. I'm just kidding. I listen to him all the time.
All right.
But his big thing is university is not for everybody.
Right.
Tech school, you can go, I mean, I'll just pick one
Well,
out of the air. You go be a welder
Okay.
or a plumber.
Right.
You do well in decent in business, you can make $100,000 a year because there ain't many
Right.
that know exactly what they're doing
Like
and who can do a good job with a good
my
attitude.
field is
et cetera.
a dying field.
Why is yours dying field?
Because a lot of people don't go into that. You know what I mean? A lot of people scared of math.
Oh.
More so, and it's like, and I say not my field, like really the generation before mine, which I mean manual machinists, people that works on mills. And
So is
lathes.
it robotics that are taking over, or is it programmers that are taking over?
No. With my field, we all work together.
Okay.
But the old school way of doing things, of just like a carpenter, how he has to pull that tape measure out and hit it on a quarter, hit it on a half,
Sure.
hit it on a 5/8. Just those principles of the old school value way of doing things. I have a bunch of jobs in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've done so many different things.
I could go head to head with you on number of jobs.
You probably could.
We'll see.
I mean, I've done it I've built houses.
Yep.
I got 12 houses under my belt.
I was never okay. So we'll go on that. So I was in construction
Okay.
between jobs.
Right.
Every time I was between jobs, I would do something in construction. So I
Okay.
never got good at it, just good enough to be helping and not dragging. You know what I mean? So that was a good several times. Roofing was terrible. I hated roofing.
Yeah, I never did roofing before.
It's hot.
I worked at the airport.
As what?
A little bit of everything. Ticket clerk, ground service ramp. I was
Yeah.
the guy who marshaled the planes in.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
really?
All that.
You were the dude with the thing?
yeah.
So all right, then tell me what the things mean.
Well, this means stops.
Okay, that's obvious.
This means forward.
Okay.
This means right.
Okay.
This means the left. This means bring it in slow.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Bring it in slow.
Okay.
And that's a.
Well, how do you know if somebody is saying come forward or go backward if they're doing this same motion?
Well, you can. Their plane will never go backwards.
That gets pulled backwards.
Well, they'll be getting pulled by something.
Right.
They wouldn't be. You know what I mean?
So if you told them to go backward, they give you another kind of hand signal.
Well, you probably have to put like that and tell them to go right, make a U or go down, or
you have a crazy story at an airport?
No, but I used to clean planes. I used to find a lot of stuff.
Like
you know
what?
I mean? Wallets.
In the planes, under the seats and stuff?
Yeah, stuff like that. Right. Wallets. But I would never take no money because I ain't a thief. So I would, if I found somebody's wallet,
it goes to lost and found.
Yeah,
basically.
Pretty much.
And it gets lost forever.
But I did find, like, my greatest find to me was a Louis Armstrong tape.
Really?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
The tape.
The Louis Armstrong, Beautiful World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was singing and he was the I don't know what his albums were, but I've heard
he sings a lot, and he plays a lot of trumpet, but
that growly kind of.
Yeah, but the song, that's one of my favorite songs. It was on there, and I was like, it was like, one of the moments like, I'm glad I found this. You know.
Oh yeah, what's crazy? What year was it?
Oh, this was 2001.
And you had a Walkman?
I had a tape player. I had a back then, I had everything, and so technology didn't change. Did
you have one of them systems where you had the two towers one tower on each side, and you had the system in the middle with the turntable on top, and the two cassettes?
I'm more of a just
and a radio.
I just had a radio with a CD player and the tape deck type stuff.
Oh, I had the Sony version. It was silver.
But at that time, I had got my dream car.
Oh, okay, what was that?
That was the 2002 Mustang. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so
I'm trying to picture what the body style was at 2002. Was it the rounded hood?
It was the rounded hood with the kind of aerodynamic of
on the back quarter.
Right. But the
bubble,
not in the bubble lights, but kind of like the translucent lights.
What year was it? 2002.
2002.
Okay.
And it was just a decent.
And that was your first car?
First car. My granny went half with me on it.
6 or 8. I mean?
So
Was it 6 or 8?
6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my very first car was a Pontiac Firebird, champagne color V6 with the fin rims.
What year?
It was at 84.
Okay, 84.
84, I think.
84
and I bought it in 86. Or was it something like that? It was the pop-up headlights. It was the kit car.
What was one of your favorite cars? Like if you had a dream car that you could have?
So, they're weird cars. I like weird
cars. Like a Nova or something?
So I would, like a what?
Like a Nova?
Oh no, Novas are cool. My mom had one. It was canary yellow. It was crazy. Back when I was tiny.
My mom had a Fiesta.
A Fiesta. Ford Fiesta. That's right.
The smallest car you could really have. It was good. You got us around. That's all that matters.
Well, no, the smallest car. You remember the Fiero?
No, I don't.
It was a 2-seater only with a rear engine, and it was right behind you.
That's crazy.
And it was just enough room that
you don't want to be in an accident with that.
No. It was teeny tiny. It was teeny tiny. Yeah. But no, my first one was a champagne version of Kit from the Knight Rider.
Oh man.
It was brown interior. But I bought it with my own. I was working at Bojangles. My very first job ever. I was at Bojangles.
Okay.
And my dad helped me with the down payment, and I paid $275 a month until I paid that car off. And I've got it in the 10th. I got it in 11th grade, I think. 11th grade, and I was working Bojangles every night, in between sporting events and practice and all the other stuff that comes with high school full time.
Yeah, my first car, I didn't really get my first car until after I graduated. You know what I mean? But I would ride with my family car.
Did you grow up here?
Yeah, I grew up here in the small town, Moncks Corner.
Moncks Corner, okay, South Carolina, gotcha. So you didn't need the car until after that?
Yeah, fortunately, I lived so close to the school, I could walk to school, and I was just in my own little world. Like all my friends wanted their license, they wanted to go do things, and I just was like, I'm just trying to figure life out.
What was your own little world in high school?
My own little world was basketball.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No, I did basketball too.
Just music. Still music. Like music always kind of, even if I wasn't making the music, I was so in tune with music.
Were you going to concerts, or were you just
pulling
it in from FM radio?
I went to see my first concert ever was Outkast.
You want to hear a crazy one?
What's that?
So my first one, I didn't get into concerts until real late because I'm a preacher's kid.
Okay.
I grew up in church. Right. The only concerts we ever saw was the ones that came and visited your church, or if it was a real special occasion, you went to some gospel choir or something. Right. And that's not to say that I was sheltered so much but it was
Well, you
our
lived
life.
You
That
live the
was-
life of a PK.
I was a PK, yeah, so
preacher kid,
we-
you know what I
we
mean?
walked the
Shout
walk.
out to all the PKs, you know what I
That's
mean?
right,
My
that's
granddaddy was a deacon.
Yeah.
You
So
know what
my
I mean?
first.
So I understand. I had to be in church on Sunday.
Oh yeah. Oh, every one of them.
It wasn't even a
every one of them.
choice.
If Dad was preaching, I was there.
Yeah.
Unless I had some kind of school function of some sort. And I went to a Christian school, so basically my whole life, both my parents were teachers at some point, and both of them taught me at some point. It was crazy.
Church is good at teaching faith.
Yeah. Pink Floyd.
I love Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
That was your first concert?
1993.
That was your first concert?
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's crazy.
Talk about jumping in with both feet.
Yeah.
That's a concert.
That's a concert.
That's
yeah.
not just somebody out there with a guitar. That's laser beams and
Yeah.
inflatables and it was after that. You know, I don't know what I went to after that, but I see what I mean. I don't know what I went to after that.
Right.
The next one, I don't know what it was because it didn't match that. Me and my best friend Tony Joyner, hey Tony, back in college from like
Where'd you go
1990,
Where'd you go to school?
East Carolina University.
ECU.
Yeah,
That's the purple?
Pirates.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
That's in North Carolina, right?
It is in Greenville, North Carolina.
Okay, it was a question. I saw a question somebody asked before, like,
Yeah.
where was it at? It kind of got confused.
Yeah, because there's a Greenville both.
Right.
Right. So there's a Greenville, North Carolina, and ECU was actually a female teacher school when it first originated.
All right.
And now it's become, I was there in 1991, 2-ish, like that. I went to a community college first, and then I went to East Carolina.
Right.
But yeah, so I was working with Tony Joyner in movie theaters, like the Dollar Theater downtown, where
Right.
we're staying up late and watching the movies and previewing it. When it was film and you were doing the platters, we would have races on who could thread the machine fastest.
That's crazy.
Yeah, back in the day, man.
Working in the movie theater.
Movie theater.
Yeah.
That was where I started in college.
That's crazy. My
Yeah.
first job was working as a bagger. You know what I mean? Like
Grocery store?
grocery store.
That's my dad's first job.
yeah,
He
it
told
was-
the story.
I loved it. And I loved it because it taught me a lot of discipline at an early age. I was like,
With what?
more so like how to deal with people,
Mm-hmm.
how to be resourceful with my money. You know what I mean? How to save if I wanted
See,
something.
the people one is a big one.
But I think having that when you get that first sense of getting your own, it sets you up right there. Like you already know
You've earned is you earned it on your own instead of
Right.
being given to you like allowance or something.
Listen, my story about money is funny. I've always been a person that knew, like, I look in the books and like, man, that costs a lot. You know what I mean? How am I gonna figure this out to get what I want? You know what I mean? More so like always thinking, channeling like, okay, I see this person doing this over here getting money and
Right.
they're shining and they're looking good.
Yeah.
And I see this person over here working hard every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How much of that though? How much of that makes it so that you jump idea to idea instead of sticking with one? Because I'm bad at that, dude.
Well,
I will
I
have
think,
all
like
day.
I say, I always go back to it's like having friends.
Mm-hmm.
You can have your own idea, but you can also let your friends' ideas influence, or they influence pretty much. Friends have that thing about them, but you also have to know who you are and what makes them your friends. Because a true friend ain't gonna have you doing nothing out of your character. Unless
they're pushing you to something better.
Unless they push you to something better,
Yeah.
or they're.
But that's not outside your character, so you're right. yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I kind of tie that in with money and how you like pursue dreams and stuff like that.
So how much of, I suppose when we say we pursue money, I suppose it's really just a scale on which to base your success on the thing that you're attempting.
Right.
Unless, you're trying to dunk. Because that's not,
Yeah,
I only did it one time.
But it can feel the same way. It's like the feat of dunking.
Yeah.
Me, I could dunk. I grew up dunking. I
Yeah.
grew up being
Yeah.
tall. I was always tall.
Yeah.
And I was athletic. My first love was baseball. You know what I mean? So I've always had speed and all that. So when I could achieve that something I could do, it made me know that I could do anything I put my mind to. And I kind of took that with me everywhere I go with anything I apply. Like you're not gonna get something done the first time the right way,
No.
unless you're just really have talent or you catch on to things easy.
Well, yeah, Thomas Edison's employees will testify to that.
Right.
1,000 different tries.
Right. Before we got the light bulb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or the Wright brothers.
Oh, I'd hate to get it wrong on the first.
But don't. You go down.
That would suck.
Right. I think they had that.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did. They had, I mean, short little hops there for, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't, that's crazy.
But
Actually, if you think about it, that's actually crazy. The first
Trying to-
people to actually do
try-
that
right.
in for real. And you gonna just jump up there. And did you see them? They're not even in any like football gear or nothing. They're just
They
straight
just-
up.
But that's the belief factor that you have
You
to
think
have.
it's it? You think it
have
is?
to have that.
Oh
I
my
think that's what
gosh.
makes the best people who excel.
But there's a
is
lot
what-
of people that have a lot of belief. Like the first guy that tried a parachute, it didn't work.
Did it? It
No, it didn't work.
Okay.
So that's a lot of belief
he
too.
just didn't- he just-
Was it because he didn't believe enough,
It's
or was
because
it?
the first guy that got it right just knew what they was doing, and they believed a little bit better than he did.
Or did they just work harder at the design?
That too.
I mean, because you can't have belief
And-
without good design,
Yeah, you can.
can you?
You can have.
Well, you can have strong
You can't
belief.
have belief without good design.
Yeah.
Tell that to Bill Gates. You know how many times he tried to get right until he got it right, and then when he got it right.
I'm saying, belief doesn't get you down the road without some kind of good action behind it, without good design.
Right.
You can have a terrible idea and believe it all day long, but that doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Only because, right? I get
See
what you're
what I'm
saying.
saying?
I get what you're saying.
So belief only goes so far. You have to have the good design first, and then you have to believe in that one. It's like the guy had really good
what-
belief in that parachute.
But you also have to
Didn't
have
work.
proof.
Well, sure, jump off 6 feet
And-
first.
But you should put a brick on there or something. But other than itself.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And
yeah.
that just goes like saying a lot too. Like some people jump out of the window with the leap of faith, hoping that you get your dream.
Yeah. Are you a jumper?
Yeah, you gotta be. To me, I feel like you gotta be a jumper because if you stand on the cliff,
How long do you look out the window and go, "What am I jumping into?" Though, or are you just running from the other side of the room and diving out?
well, me personally, I think about. I play chess.
Yeah.
I think 2 steps ahead. I got to know what's going to be the next move that I make after I make this move.
All right.
I try to think logically. Like most people, I think everybody try to think logically into what they do.
Well, most people think that they think logically.
Right. But that's my process of it. You know what I mean? Like I just
And I'm
take
not
my
saying
time.
that I do, by the
No,
way.
but I'm just saying, brother. That's just my process of it. Like if I'm like, okay, usually gonna have to be something that spark my interest, and then I mess with it for a while.
Name one besides music.
The machine.
When did that spark the interest?
I went to I had a job to do. I took a temp job, and I fell in love with it because it was like I saw me making something from a raw material into a design, and I kind of fell in love with it from there.
You know what? I said that to a buddy. Chris Smith came over here from Moto Photo Adventures. He came over here to help me with my bike.
All right.
Oh, this is a funny story, but I've still got. Do me a favor. Look at your fingernails.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So I saw a study that said a certain type of person looks at their fingernails like this, and a certain type of person looks at their
Right.
fingernails. I don't know which is which.
I
but
was going to
Google it.
look at them
Tell me what it
both,
says
but-
in the comments, but I don't remember what it was. Anyway, he came over. I still got grease under my fingernail. That's why I'm asking. Working on my bike to get my wheels back in there. Funny story is I took both the wheels off, put it up on the center stand, balanced it with something underneath the skid plate,
All right.
and when I was in here working, I hear crunch, and the bike had
hell?
fallen over onto its forks,
Whoa, man.
and it was precariously sitting there. So he had to come over here so I could pull the bike back up. I got to get a stand. I know I got to get a stand. Don't preach at me. Anyway, the point of it was that we were in there and we were doing all of this work, and you said just now making something from raw materials,
Right.
all the way to completion.
Right.
And I said to him, you know, if I had all the money in the world, I would buy all the stuff that it takes to be a metalworker in one barn. I would have all of the stuff that it would require to be a woodworker in another barn. I would have all this. It's the frustration of not having the tools at my
Okay.
disposal
But
when
this-
I have these
let me tell
ideas
you-
in my garage.
Let me tell you how. I'm glad you said that because it kind of you give me a light bulb idea, like
All right.
more so because that's kind of my little philosophy in life of being a jack of all trades but a master of none.
Yeah.
You know, like
Lots of jobs.
I feel like everybody should have a little bit of something in their bag to contribute to the cause.
Okay.
You might not have the full answer.
Sure.
Like, or more so, like, I say this is my saying. Nobody knows everything, but everybody knows something.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so with that, it's like we might not have all the answers, but as long as you have 85 or you have something to add to the table that's
Well,
contributing.
use Chicago Bulls. Somebody's got to be the worm.
Yeah, somebody got to get the rebound. Somebody got to be the
Somebody's
dirty guy.
got. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That was it was a role that he escalated to an art form.
Right.
To be the guy who got the ball. Flat. That's what I'm doing.
I get it. I
That's
get it.
like you find your niche and you find out what you can contribute.
And that's, yeah, I get it. That's what makes, once everybody can do that,
Yeah.
that's what makes the world kind of move.
So what is
smoother.
so what is something people can contribute that isn't necessarily a physical talent? For example, both of my parents, when they were doing this kind of work, counseling and stuff, were people who could console. They were heartfelt individuals
Right.
who
With
were
no-
able to
with-
take the anxiety out of somebody.
With no judgment.
With no judgment, absolutely.
Right.
My dad was a pastor, but he was a soft pastor. He
Right.
wasn't those fire-breathing dragons. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was a guy who you came to see when you actually had a problem, not when you needed to be sprayed down with a hose because you're on fire.
He wasn't one of those holy roly preachers.
No.
He was more of a,
He would sit here just like he and
Well,
I. I wish I had recorded it. He and I would have these kind of conversations until both of our mouths would dry, from just talking and talking and talking. We'd stay up till 3 a.m. right there in the living room outside
what's
the store.
what's the most, like, could you say your father was evangelist almost, but not evangelist preacher, but like, so have
He
you ever
would start.
seen,
He would start churches and get them built up.
what's
Yeah.
the craziest thing you ever seen in a church?
The craziest thing I've ever seen in a church. He was invited in Florida, I think it was Daytona, don't quote me on it, on a really tall hotel building where they would have these massive conference rooms, activity room, event halls,
Okay.
where you could roll back the walls and make it double as big,
Okay.
filled with folding chairs. And the way we got up there was a glass elevator on the outside of the building. And I'm like, Daytona would be 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
And of course, it's like a carnival ride. It's like being at Disney World on the outside
Right.
of it.
And
You're
you're a
looking
kid
down,
at
all
the-
the kids, all the people are turning into ants, and we're going up, and I'm with the big dog
Right.
and his deacons who are with him for support. And I know my dad. He never searched for the spotlight.
Right.
People just seemed to follow him.
Okay.
Don't know why. And
Yeah,
he
good-
always
right.
recognized that that's a
Right, had a
danger.
good
It's a
spirit.
power, and it's a danger, and it's a responsibility, and
Right.
all that stuff. And he was real calm. It was a cool thing to watch. He had his moments, but of course everybody does. But we get off this elevator, the doors open, and we walk into this hall, and it opens straight up into there. And my dad's up front, and then we're home. It was like 1970s, so it was on the uptick of a religious revolution that was happening.
Okay.
Right.
Like Jim Baker, all that stuff.
All
going
that
on.
stuff, yeah, all that stuff. And so they were trying to build it, and so he got invited to come, and there were like 10 or 12 people in a room of 100 chairs.
Wow. Okay.
Nobody showed up.
just one of the few.
Every local band knows what this feels like.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So he
right,
goes,
right.
I'm gonna put the show on anyway. These are 12 people that came to actually hear me. If one had
I'm gonna
showed
give them
up,
my truth.
if nobody had showed up, I'd have sat my deacons down and preached to them.
All right. I get it. I get it.
So he gets into it, and he's 10 or 15 minutes into it. And I'm sitting up on the front row with my mom and my brother, who's 3 years younger than me, so he had to be about 5. And we hear the double doors in the back open. That big echo.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Somebody coming in the room.
And somebody's coming in the room, and everybody turns around and looks, and he's walking with a quick pace, and he's got really thick glasses,
That's great.
and he looks like some George Costanza off of Seinfeld. He's short, he's kind of round,
Right,
he's kind of
right.
busting up through there, and he comes in there, he sits across the way from us, about 3 or 4 rows back, and he sits there for about 3 minutes. And don't quote me on the time and all the details, but this is how I remember it at 8 years old.
All right.
He starts making all kinds of growling noise and stand up, starts throwing chairs.
Cheers.
Throwing chairs. Like
Wow.
wrestling match, throwing chairs.
Wow.
And there's women and children in here, not very many, and they're scattered about, so they were able to avoid them.
So
but he goes crazy.
He's losing.
Absolutely goes nuts. So the deacons go come up there and they grab him and they do the whole yelling and the banging on his head and say, you know, all of the things that you know that you've seen in movies.
Okay.
And they're screaming at him and so my dad goes, nah. And he just walks up to him in his face and starts talking to him like I'm talking to you right now.
Okay.
And the guy calms down, calls him Jesus. And Dad says some stuff that I won't say because I can't remember it exactly and I'm not going to play.
Right.
But he calms down and he says thank you and he turns around and he walks out of the room calmly and his glasses are still on the floor and he can see. Now, that's 8 years old. As best as I can remember it. I'm not saying he wasn't just a mentally incapacitated individual with some problems, but but his attitude changed when my dad talked to him. That's all I know.
Okay.
And that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen in church.
And that's like more of a spiritual awakening, like more so like.
That's one of those ones where you remember last time you said the flashbulb moment.
Yeah.
That was a personal flashbulb moment.
Right.
That was a one-person flashbulb moment where
Okay.
I go, oh, that dude. My dad? Seriously?
Yeah.
He's the guy. So yeah, that was crazy.
I get it.
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, one of those moments. I think I've had those couple times in my life where like things just symbolically happen at a certain time. You know what I'm saying? It just you know, walking out the store and finding $100 bill.
Oh yeah, I've had a couple of those too. When little kid, you know, finding $1, get the loaf of bread. Now we can have sandwiches next week. Oh yeah, I grew up like that.
Okay.
So I know the deal. Are you a religious individual?
What's that?
Are you a religious individual?
I am more of a, like I said, I grew up in a church. So funny that
What
you
kind
said
of church? As if it matters.
Southern Baptist.
See, my dad was ordained Southern Baptist.
Yeah, Southern Baptist. You know what I mean? You know, this Father, Son, Holy Ghost, the Trinity. You know what I mean? And I believe that after doing a lot of studying, because it's funny that you say that, because I used to always question my grandma being black. You know what I mean? I said, Grandma, why y'all boy preaching to, why y'all boy praising this white God? More so because it's painted in that image and stuff like that. Yeah. And that she was like, boy, don't question God. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. But you know, later on in life, I always like questioned a lot of stuff. You know, so. But I always have a faith because I just know that there's a higher calling, there's a higher being, there's someone that made all this beautiful stuff that we see in the world and from the books.
So it wasn't
stories.
a big bang in your opinion?
To me, honestly, as I question, I read a lot of books, I study a lot of things, so I'm more of a person that just deal with facts more so than fiction.
How do you
separate the two?
Or how do you get the two together?
Personally, I used to ask me if I was religious.
Yeah.
So I try my hardest to study all religions, not just be based in one religion. Okay. So I can get an understanding of how everyone thinks. Like if I want to know how Buddhist thinks. I want to know how a Muslim thinks.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you believe in every single religion. It just means that you're interested in how everybody else thinks about it.
I just have to. I want to.
Well, I suppose we could get good principles from every single one of them.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean we have to go jump in.
I just don't like Christians to not like Muslims. Just because if you understand the Bible, they both reading out the same book. And then
pretty much.
And then you have to,
especially the Old Testament.
And you have to also like dig a little deeper and understand where they're getting these stories from and where they're coming from. What's the origin? You know what I mean? Like who's translated the Bible? You want to get to the bottom of that kind of stuff.
I've had that conversation with a couple of, and not
in
depth.
Hebrew
but think about this: people
or even transformed from Egyptian text.
You're absolutely right.
So you just want to get. I just
want
to get
like
to the
the modern Bible that is not the modern. There's new interpretations and new international versions and all that kind of stuff. But the Southern Baptists believe in the King James version. Right. There's an Old Testament and a New Testament. It's called the King James version. And the reason it's called the King James version is because King James decided what was going to be in it.
Right.
Well, I've done a little bit of research too.